I'm Doug Ubelaker, this year's president of the AAFS. I have the pleasure to welcome you to the 64th annual meeting of the American Academy of Forensic Sciences. Our theme this year recognizes the international nature of the forensic sciences, and our plenary session this year relates to that theme in bringing before you 4 colleagues who have provided international leadership in advancing forensic science around the world. I thank Chair Prinz and Co-Chair Marilyn Hustis for putting this program together. I think it will be special. It is rare we have on the same stage 4 individuals who have done so much to advance forensic science around the world. And with that, I will turn the program over to Dr. Prinz, who will introduce our first speaker.
Thank you, Doug. It's my pleasure again to welcome you all here again this morning and to introduce our first speaker, Dr. Gardner from the U.S. Department of Justice. Dr. Gardner is the Chief of Forensic Services of the International Criminal Investigative Training Assistance Program, or ICITAP. Dr. Gardner has degrees in chemistry and is well-versed in various forensic disciplines. He was the director of the Forensic Science Laboratory of the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, and was involved in DNA testing as the president of Cellmark Diagnostics. Dr. Gardner has over 35 years of forensic experience, and I'm sure this experience is serving him well in his current position with its wide range of challenges. Please, Dr. Gardner.
Good morning. I want to first, on behalf of the Department of Justice, say thank you to the Academy for the invitation to be here and to present some of the work that we're doing from the Criminal Division, which is where ICITAP is located. Many people haven't heard about ICITAP or what it is because we primarily do international work. So I'll give you some brief background on the organization. We're only 25 years old. We are within the Criminal Division of the Department of Justice. The Criminal Division you can think of as an 800-person law firm primarily involved with criminal litigation and most of the more serious offenses in the U.S. at the federal level, with the exception of terrorism, which is handled by a separate division. So we do a lot of the international criminal investigative stuff, including transportation and people, narcotics, intellectual property. All of those things our colleagues within the criminal division get involved in, and this is where ICITAP has its home, also with the international flavor. In the 25 years, we're primarily a law enforcement development organization. We've been in some 90 countries around the world, as pinpointed on the map. In about half of those countries, we've had forensic programs set up in various areas and at various levels. In the last 10 years, we've spent, it's over $80 million now on the forensic programs. This is all funded by our State Department, sometimes USAID, and on occasion the Department of Defense. ICITAP in the forensic area has a very small headquarters staff. We primarily do our work, which is training, mentoring, providing technical assistance. We do that using technical experts, most of which are from the Academy. We've even used 5 past presidents from the Academy, whatever kind of a statement that makes to you. So we are been around for about 25 years. What I want to do is kind of give you some of the observations that we've made in this period of time as it relates to not only forensic science, but the research that's going on in various countries. We're starting to see some relationships, I think, between casework, research, training, so I want to kind of provide some observations on that. And then we have tried to start stimulating research in some countries. So I'm going to present a couple of examples on countries where we are doing some work and trying to enhance their capabilities to conduct forensic research. And then summarize by talking about some of the trends we're seeing in lab development at the international level. Now, keep in mind a lot of the comments and observations are on a limited number of labs internationally, 40 to 50 labs. These are generally national laboratories, not generally, they are the national laboratories in the countries that we're working with. They are not what we would call state or city laboratories. They're all at the federal level in the countries we're working in. In the 25 years of walking through laboratories, I've been doing this the last dozen years. We have certainly seen labs that rank up there with any lab you would want to walk into. These are just a couple. There's others on the list: Bulgaria, Colombia, Algeria. We don't mind naming the good labs. When it gets to the labs that are not necessarily as good, we're not going to put names on them, but you can see from the state of affairs with the evidence room, shooting tank, morgue, not necessarily ideal. These labs could use some assistance and some help. And then you get to the ugly, which is really labs that you would probably recommend that they just close their door and not even think about processing evidence. So in the years, we've seen all kinds of laboratories, from extremely competent, capable, excellent laboratories to ones that are really struggling. So why is DOJ interested in this? Primarily because of our law enforcement groups, ATF, DEA, FBI, the Marshal Service, are all involved in transnational crimes, transnational criminal investigations. They have partners in other countries that they're working with. We try to enhance the forensic capabilities in these other countries so that the forensic examinations conducted there can be used by our law enforcement investigators in their criminal investigations, and also be used in courts in this country. It's much better to use a lab report from a foreign country than have to re-examine the evidence here in the U.S. We also do a lot of extradition, especially in the drug area and organized crime, and it helps if we have good, solid partners in these other countries putting out high-quality scientific work. So we move all the countries we're working in, we move them toward ISO accreditation as kind of the international standard for doing quality work, and that allows us then to exchange forensic data fairly freely with them through the Interpol portals. So that's why DOJ is interested. And of course, with U.S. State Department funding, it makes it kind of a no-brainer. For our assessment model in developing these countries, this has evolved over the last dozen years that I've been around to include a mechanism where we go and do an assessment initially. We follow that up now primarily by addressing the management first. We'll then look at the technical side of it second. Equipment we put next. And then we have now added on research. At one time, equipment was much higher on the list because that's what everyone wanted. They wanted someone to give them a GC mass spec and a week's worth of training, and they were happy. We figured out fairly quickly that did not develop a laboratory. So our model includes working with our management, initially moving them toward ISO. Now, the assessment area, I was going to try and convince you that this was challenging. It required extremely long hours on airplanes crossing huge bodies of water over multiple time zones and spending sleepless nights, but I figured you'd see right through that. So I just want to show you that assessments send us to really nice parts of the world where we can spend a week looking at the laboratory. And in addition to that, we get to eat in some really nice restaurants. Now, for those of you informed, you'll recognize this as Rick's Place, made famous by the 1942 movie Casablanca. It's in Morocco, and I had lunch there with Tafik Sahir, the head of their national laboratory, who's sitting in the front row. And if you want to learn more about the program in Morocco, he'll be around all week. But it's a great restaurant, started by an American expat retired from the embassy, and it's modeled after the Casablanca movie. So.